Hello friends, welcome to the session. Today we will discuss the concept of justice in political science. Friends, justice has been one of the most important concepts of political science, and it has been the focal points of governments, the rulers, the kings from ancient to the modern times. As the humanity starts growing, as the humans as a society started to live, and the concept of private property arises as enshrined in the Aganna Sutta or any other ancient Indian text, the Western political text. The concept of private property, the concept of acquiring the things, the concept of, we can say, living together arises. There were instances observed when some of the people do not able to comply with the rules of the society, or even there were no rules, we can say. So the society was a mess, people were barbaric and they were doing whatever they want to do. In some of the texts, the concept is provided that the blessings of the god came from the heaven, and they choose a king from amongst the people, and the god himself bestowed him with the responsibilities to ensure justice for all. Whatever the wrongdoing a person commit, he should be punished for that. Whatever the good things a person do, they should also be praised. Okay. So the concept of God himself, we can say the figure of God which is imagined, or the kings himself, like in the Indian context, we can say the king is someone who has the features of God within himself. So he was responsible to ensure justice. Now we will go into the etymology of the thing. That justice is one of the most important moral and political concept. The word comes from the Latin jus, meaning the right or law. Law himself is meaning, law is something which ensures justice. So it comes from the Latin word jus. The just person as one who typically does what is morally right. This word is very important, morally right, which is ethically right, which is morally right is right. It is not something eventual that in a particular instance this was important, so I did that even though I was knowing that it is wrong. No, this is wrong and that will always remain wrong. So morally right. Philosophers want to get beyond the etymology and dictionary meaning of the justice. For example, the nature of justice as both a moral virtue of character and a desirable quality of political society. Because if justice will not prevail, the society will not withstand. Okay. Now we will understand the concept of justice from different philosophical perspectives. Plato conveyed the idea that justice is the ultimate virtue. Justice is the supreme rightness, or the Greek word is dikaiosune. The same word that is translated righteousness in the New Testament, wherein all parts of a society are in perfect balance and aimed to the good. Okay. So according to Plato, according to Greek philosophers, the meaning of justice is to maintain the balance of the society. And how that balance will be maintained? When the worthy people get the worth of their works. If they have done something wrong, they should be punished. If they have done something good, they should be blessed, they should be praised. For Aristotle was somewhat different in his approach towards justice from Plato. For Aristotle, justice is distinctive for its social dimension. Justice is the only virtue that seems to be another person's good because it is related to another. That was I was also saying that society requires justice for not only for a purpose to maintain balance, but to strive ahead. As a society, if you want to strive, if you want to develop yourself, if all the members of a community decided that now we are done, we have to move ahead from this level of thinking to another level of thinking, then justice should be prevailed. Whatever are the rights of, they all are related things, we can say. Why we require justice? Why we require institution which can prevail justice? Because there will be the violation of law. There will be the violation of some rules. there will be the violation of some rights, then the justice should be there. And justice in present times, in contemporary scenario, we can say the institutions which are bestowed with the responsibility to ensure justice are doing very creative things also. They are not only protecting the rights, but they are also substantiating some formally regulated rules, some like we can term them as constitution or the book of laws, so that the rule makers, the policy makers can keep those ideas in mind to formulate some policy, so that the policy itself should be able to enable the justice. Everything should not be dragged to the court, but policy itself should be able to ensure the justice. So Aristotle somewhat relate justice with the development of the society, and Plato, being the older one from the Aristotle, Plato try to, we can say, try to describe justice as an instrument which can balance the society. Okay, Aristotle, Aquinas, some very famous Western thinker, Aquinas defines justice as a rendering to each his due, which I was already telling you before. The worthy should get whatever he deserves to get. Okay, whatever his due. Wrong or good, it's a different thing, but this is the responsibility of the ruler or the king or the institution, that rendering to each his due. Each man's own is that which is due to him, and this is the responsibility of whole the society, that if someone has do something good, then he should be given his dues. Like the scientists, the philosopher, the good people, the bureaucrats, the other members of the society, whatever they are doing, they should be rendered their dues. Good or bad, that's a different thing. Therefore, the proper act of justice is nothing else than to render to each one his own. David Hume held that, like Aristotle, to a virtue theory that justice is rooted in the passions or sentiments. However, he argues in a treatise on human nature. This is the book, A Treatise on Human Nature. You should note that the concept of justice only arises when we are faced with the scarcity, and we must answer the question of who will get what limited goods or resources are available. Now you can say that the concept of, with this particular paragraph, with this particular note, you can say that justice is also related to very other related subjects. Like when you learn the terms scarcity and the opportunities and the goods, the first question arises, the first word arises in your mind is economics. So justice is to ensure, because the world has limited resources, there is a scarcity of resources. So justice should be able to ensure economic balance. So this is we call the economic justice. Like in the Constitution of India, many kind of justices are defined. The social justice, the economic justice. Somewhere justice is also related to the intellectual property rights, that if someone has given a fundamental idea that is very new, then he should also be provided with his dues. So these all things are related. Now, from another perspective of a we can say very renowned Western thinker, John Rawls, who is also famous for his justice theory and the balance of power theory. Justice as fairness is Rawls' theory of justice for a liberal society. As a member of the family of liberal political conceptions of justice, it provides a framework for the legitimate use of political power. Now, John Rawls connected the justice with his power theory and justice of liberal society theory, that because in our society, political science is very effective thing. Among any other social sciences, the political science is the most powerful tool, because the political rulers or the political institutions of a country somewhat decides the future of that country. So the political institutions or the people who are holding the political power, they should have a liberal conception. Liberal in the sense, for them, everyone should be treated equal. Because if you will be prejudiced in your nature, you will not be able to prevail justice. And this is why political science is a very important subject, and political science is being taught to leaders of the world, whether the military leaders or the political leaders or the economic leaders. They all should have some idea of political science, because in their decision making they should have this idea of justice while they are making the policy, while they are making the decisions. Okay, so justice sets a maximal standard, and this is the required standard also. We cannot say that justice is the maximal standard. We can somehow deviate from that, or we can somehow adjust from that. This is the maximum standard, and this is also the required standard, the arrangement of social institution that is morally best. Okay, Indian concept of justice, we can also say Nyaya. So Nyaya is also one among the 6 darshanas, since 6 orthodox schools of philosophy. Nyaya is among them also. The Indian concept of justice is also similar to the Western concept, but it has some added things into it. Okay, this school made a very significant contribution to the study of logic and epistemology in Indian thought. In India, the justice is also related to the epistemology of everything. Okay, in particular, it was renowned for the rigor of philosophical discourse. In ancient Indian texts, you must have read many discourses about very many other things. Okay, so justice is something which should be inbuilt in everything. Everything should be justified. We use these terms like, this is not justified, so I cannot do that, or I am not supposed to do that, to do that. So that thing may not be maybe morally correct, maybe ethically correct, but at that particular instance, it may not be the right time for doing that thing. So that is why that is not justified. So Indian concept is somewhat, we can say, diversified from the Western concept. Western concept is somewhat orthodox and we can say bounded, while the Indian concept is very, very much, we can say, is open. Okay. Agarna Sutta is a very famous text in which the duties of a king are defined. It's a very important Buddha text, Agarna Sutta. So in Agarna Sutta, the duties of a king combine the justice. The king should be able to ensure the justice. Now in Arthashastra, Kautilya describes the duties of a king in the Arthashastra, in which he also devised that a king should be able to ensure justice. So in Indian concept, we can say this is the responsibility of the ruler, or this is the responsibility of the people who choose the ruler amongst themselves, that they should choose a person who should be able to ensure the justice. Like I was defining the Agarna Sutta, a king should have, he should be wrathful. There are 3 duties actually which are defined. He should censure that which should rightly be censured. So this is the point number 2, actually defines the justice. The quality of king should also have he should be able to ensure the justice. Okay. Now the important questions which can be asked from you: what terms of cooperation would free and equal citizens agree to under fair condition? This is very important for you to understand, that this is a very, very we can say a next level question in the thinking of justice. What terms of cooperation would free and equal citizens agree under fair condition? People are the members of the society, so they should have some terms and conditions within themselves so as to run the businesses of the society. What terms of cooperation would free and equal citizens agree? They should agree on the liberalized approach. They should agree on prevailing of justice. They should agree on equal opportunities. They should agree on equal distribution of resources. They should agree on equal distribution of political power. They should agree on some fundamental, we can say, fundamental rights of the people which cannot be violated in any condition. They should also agree on some fundamental duties towards their society, so that their business of the society can run. Okay. Second question: why would a citizen willingly obey a law that is imposed on him by a collective body whose members have beliefs and values so different to his own? This is also very important question. We have observed the instances that citizens, maximum times, they obey the law, they follow the rules, they follow the penalty which is imposed on them, they receive whatever given to them by an institution of law, even though they may have different opinion, even though they may have difference from that institution. But why do they follow the laws of the institution in what they are not believing actually? Why? Because they are political in nature, because they are the members of the society, and the society is changing, is something which changed over the time. The rule of law change over the period of time. The thinkings, the philosophies which runs the society, they change over the period of time. So the collective will of a society, like Rousseau says that the general will of the society. So because the people are political in their nature, and they believe that whatever we are thinking, it may be possible that is not the many of the society, the members of the society are thinking, but they will still follow that because they are political in nature, and they wait for the time, or somehow we can say, to run the business of the society. And because they are the members of the society, so they think that the disobedience of a law may hamper their reputation more than willingly obey the law and get punished for whatever they have done. So this is something we can say inside our human mind. This is something which is established in our mind by the nature to follow the law, or if you will not follow that, you will be punished for that. Indian concept provides some mythological explanation for that. The incarnation theory, the second birth theory, they all are available, but actually they are here to prevail the justice so that the businesses of the society can run, and they are also related to the social justice, economic justice, and many other concepts of many other perspective of the law. That's all for the session, friends. Thank you.